Okay, in order for us to understand fully where we're going, we need to know where we're coming from.
Yes.
And so we will need to understand where is this patriarchal system coming from? Where did we men, how did we obtain these powers? Controversy is here to stay, man. What do you think? Love controversy. Can't live without the truth, eh? Can't live without the truth, eh? If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. The controversy, of course. We are back another week. Of course, we will be deliberating on those serious problems of South Africa, of course, on the controversies. Tevetomel, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm super, my brother.
I'm exceedingly well, thanks
Are you
for an
ready?
invite.
Are you ready to tackle the social illnesses of this country?
We're trying, we must keep on trying,
But do you think are we reaching the relevant audience, though? Are people hearing what we're saying? What's your take?
well, it's today I woke up very disturbed on the news of literacy in SA. Apparently, about 300 councillors in KZN, they can't read or write. So that would tell you, Uguti, our government institutions, uh, we are being governed by people who really do not take the issue of education, the issue of literacy seriously. So that would mean, Uguti, our level of understanding may be below par. Yes.
We are tackling another special topic again today, which is patriarchy. And I know it's a big word, but we've got our friend here, of course, to try and turn it down a bit, make it easily chewable. Patriarchy. What's patriarchy, man?
Please don't call me
You don't like it?
No.
No, we're used to this thing, man.
Yeah,
In our blood.
I see. It's very systemic. Well, thank you again, Faithful, for the latitude to express my views on the matter. But I must state to Uti, my views are not only views. Therefore, people are allowed to disagree with me. I always say, Uti, if we agree on everything, then it means there is a problem.
We are dead.
Yes, but to answer your question, the word patriarchy, it's a Greek word, and it simply means ruled by fathers or governed by fathers.
Male figures.
Male figures. So it really, it's what it means. That is patriarchy. But again, perhaps if ever I may give a modern explanation of what it is. It is a system that is institutionalized to really, restrict women from taking positions or even to partake in any economical activities. This it's the system that really perpetuate the idea that men male are better thinkers, are better doers. So in actual fact, it's a system that marginalizes women and makes them less important in the society. So that's what patriarchy is.
Okay, in order for us to understand fully where we're going, we need to know where we're coming from.
Yes.
And so we will need to understand where is this patriarchal system coming from? Where did we men, how did we obtain these powers?
Okay, the evidence that will show Uguti, in the beginning, people relied mostly in hunting for food. So you'd find what men were hunters, so were providers of food. So I do not know whether they became rulers by default or the nature itself, it gave them, that authority to be patriarchal, to be rulers at the time. But that's what happened. Ukuthi men were providers. They would go outside and hunt for food and bring it so women and children will eat. That's one part of it. Secondly, obviously, people were dwelling in the wild. So meaning ukuthi there will be wild animals and all that. So protection was needed. So it was perceived ukuthi it would be a man that would bring that protection. That's one part. That's the second part of it. But again, the universe nje yona uqobo lwayo, it's a very patriarchal world. I always say when I make a reference ukuthi if you read the Bible, the book of the Corinthians, Paul says women must be silent. They must not speak in the church. He says if they have questions, they must ask their husbands, because their husbands probably will give them the better understanding of what of what religion or what or even who is God. And for that matter, you'd understand now even the religion itself, it's very patriarchal. One would speak about Jesus Christ feeding 5,000 men, and then it would say women and children. So it would never give a specific answer.
Number of women.
Yes, number of women, because of they are more treated like children. Yeah. So even in other religion, form of religion, particularly in Islam, women are not allowed in mosque. You've never seen a
women
going into a mosque. Yes. So again, and maybe to even bring it home, I always make an example. Everyone knows who's John Langalibalele Dube. But to those who do not know who John Langalibalele Dube is, the first president of South African Native Congress, which later became ANC. Everyone knows about him, about his astute mind, about he was intelligent. He did wonders. But even if I may ask you as a fundi, who's Nogutel?
I don't know that.
Exactly, because of the writers of history made it sure Uguti, the name or the names of the male counterparts will always come forth. So Nogutela, she was the wife of John Langalibalele Dube. But she was a woman of her own. Even during that time, 1912 or so, she was educated, she was a teacher, she was a singer, she was a traveler. So she also did or performed wonderful things that I feel should have been ventilated to people to know. In this journey, John Langalibalele Dube was not alone, but there was also a woman who understood her role, who played her role, So for me, that is patriarchy. We are living in a patriarchal world. And Africa per se, it's West Africa and Middle East.
All right. Because of we as Africans, we used to be patriarchal, or we are still
patriarchal.
We are now fusing it with those Western ideas.
Yes.
Okay, just try and alert us of this Western idea, and now we want to draw parallel into our African idea, which is a patriarchal system.
Yes.
What is the opposite of this patriarchal system by the West?
In actual fact, patriarchy, it's a universal thing. You'd find you go to Middle East, you'd find patriarchy is the order of the day. You'd find women are marginalized. In other countries like Iraq, in other countries, most Arabian countries, women are not even allowed to drive cars. Women are subjected to men. Women are subjected to listen to everything that has been said by men.
And is it working for them?
Yes, it is working for them. It is working for them. When we check on what is happening, in South Africa or in Africa as a whole, and even in other European countries, you'd find it's not happening in Middle East. You'd never find someone claiming that she has been raped. You will never find someone. There is a 0% of divorces. There is a 0% of rape. When we speak about GBV, they don't even understand what is that because of there is no competition of ideas there. Males are males and they are dominating. Everything from businesses. Homes, politics, and everything. And again, women have agreed into that form because of, again, there is no redress in that issue. So I may say it's a scholarly debate to say, are they happy or not? But your question was, is it working? And my answer to that was yes, it is.
There is harmony.
Yes.
All right. Into our system now. Clearly there was something wrong because of we are now trying to adopt this other system that is non-patriarchal.
Yes.
Which now again we find ourselves in another problem where the tip now of the scale is falling.
Yes.
Women are having more rights and men are left vulnerable.
Yes.
What is there now a way forward in terms of this balance, trying to draw balance between these two systems?
Yeah, it's a very educational question, Vetsu. And thank you for it. Well, Vetsu, I may put it this way. This show and myself, I do not believe in patriarchy. I do not believe women should be marginalized or excluded from economical activities merely because they are women. I always say, we should not deprive anyone her rights or his right, basing it on gender, basing it on race, basing it on disability. But my understanding would be, there is what we call order of nature or law of nature, which simply means, as much as I would want to perform and do other things, but nature will never allow me to. I always look at the birds when they are flying, and I would always want to fly one day, but the nature will never allow me to do so because of this force of gravity. So that would be a typical example that as much as we are trying to fight the imbalance, we should not neglect the fact that there are certain things that can be done by men, there are certain things that can be done by women. But that does not really mean that men are more intelligent than women. But I'm just stating facts here. There are certain things that we can do, there are certain things that we cannot do. So in terms of imbalance, I really do not know these legislators, what they are trying to do in terms of pushing the agenda of making sure they are uplifting the women. And I will tell you maybe the reason why they are doing so. It's because of the population of the universe, we know, which is dominated by women. So therefore, they would do legislations or they will come up with regulations that are more appealing to women, specifically for votes.
What? I understand clearly what you're saying.
You see, meaning I'm not saying we should not redress the issue of patriarchy. It should be redressed. There should be a redress. One way or another, we should speak about equality, because even in our constitution, we speak about equality before the law. We speak about the human rights and all that. But I'm saying, these regulations that you see across the universe, it's not really perpetuated by the idea of uplifting women,
Mm.
but it is perpetuated by the idea and the manipulation to control or even to gain votes.
Mm.
Remember in here in South Africa when Thabo Mbeki, was exiting, he made a simple, what we call a comment, and then he said South Africa was ready. For a female president.
Uh-huh.
But we know exactly that he was pushing his agenda, not that he was saying that because of South Africa was ready for the female president. So every time, definitely, every time that when they want to canvas their ideas, they would understand that women are better participants. Even if you go to the voting polls, you will realize that women will even attend to the voting polls more than men. Therefore, they would make sure that they speak the language that will kind of appeal to the women.
But that has now caused more violence now because of the rights of these women are now trampling on the rights of the men, and that creates violence and instability. And then they're crying now there's gender-based violence, there's all that. And it is all the doings of
well, it would be difficult to really draw the parallels between the GBV and patriarchy. But I will always say, men, they don't need to blame anyone. They need to blame themselves. Because of Mbeto, they've been into the higher echelons. They've been into the positions of making decisions. But one would ask, Uguti, are those decisions very beneficiary to the world? The answer is no. So we have not done justice to ourselves. And I always say, Uguti, apart from the government itself really, siding with women, we as men, we have relinquished the power that the nature bestowed upon us to women.
How did you do that?
By being lazy. You'd find with most of men now, they binge on alcohol. They run away from their responsibilities.
They are no longer fathers.
Yes, the rule of fathers is no more there. Of which it's what patriarchy is, the rule by fathers. So you'd find these lazy thinkers and cowards, they run away from their responsibilities, which now shift the responsibility to the woman.
So we are giving away that power.
Definitely.
And we cry
and they will cry and say, no, it's difficult to compete with a woman in working space, blah, blah, blah. Yet these people are people who are not really, taking part in the economy. Perhaps let's look even into our education system. I bet you now, if you can go to any grade 1 or grade 5 class, even to grade 12, you'll find Uguti, there are more female students
than male.
Yes. And you ask the question, Uguti, why? And it's not the question of being dominant, in population, but it will simply mean, Uguti, women are more determined and more hungry for success than men. And that's a fact. As to whether the government is doing justice by making sure Uguti they meet them halfway better than meeting men, it's another story.
All right. You talked about protection, men protecting women, and thus gaining that more power in the patriarchal system.
Yes.
Has that changed now? Are we protected by women now? Because of protection is still needed, one way or the other.
I think the role has changed, and there is a biggest currency, and the biggest currency is money, the value of money. The value of money has changed everything. It's the one that is even fighting a patriarchy. It's the one that it's even pushing the agenda of feminism, because of women have more better opportunities than men, that will simply mean ukuthi they have better currency in terms of what they are bringing at home. Yes. So that itself, it puts them in a better position in terms of decision making.
Yeah, what we put in the table. Yes. All right. As we continue with our very nice topic, of course, there were advantages because of the SGBQ. The gender-based violence was not there in the olden days.
Yeah.
So it means the system that they were using was working.
Yes.
So we can now agree that there is advantages in patriarchy. Can you just elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, but to everything, there is an advantage to every, aspect of life. It depends on how you look at it. If we may look, compared to the older generation, you'd find ukuthi omkhulu bethu, they understood fully their roles. They understood. They never ran away from their responsibilities.
Being fathers.
Yeah, being fathers. And they were taking a stand in terms of making informed decisions, in making sure ukuthi la ekhaya kulala kudliwe. So that itself, it was very advantageous. Ukuthi they had powers and they understood those powers, not even misusing those powers. Because again, the issue of patriarchy, you would even find people, they would speak about it. People, they would say, no, we are being marginalized as men. Opportunities are being given to women. But I would always ask the question, what are you doing about it? Because of, again, it's for me, it's very myopic and absurd to say, you are expecting ukuthi, you are crying about the system, that the system is doing injustice to you, yet you yourself, you are not doing anything about the matter in terms of understanding whether you must be a provider, understanding whether you need to protect your family.
Play your role. They didn't just inherit this power.
They did not inherit the power.
They worked for it.
They worked for it because they were hunters. They would go and search for food
and come back with
the food. And that itself, it gave them, a better, what we call a better. It put them in a better position in the society. Yes.
So there's no competition. Everyone knew his role.
Exactly.
Okay. Now we are talking about disadvantages now of patriarchy.
Yeah.
Is there disadvantages? Did people misuse that power?
Yeah, Veto. I always say ukuthi it was a misguided power because of, at work one would even being escalated to positions that he's not qualified for, typically because of he's a man, particularly while a white man would get better opportunities than any other person, not on the merit of whether he can perform the job, but because of he was white and male. Same applies to what we are talking about. Exactly, it had its disadvantages. When I pick
even if I'm wrong.
Even if you are wrong. And I always say it is very important to allow competition of ideas, to say, okay, but I'm thinking you are stronger in this aspect. Perhaps you can assist me in one or two. I am better in this aspect, and then you can assist me here and there. And then from there you would see there is what we call a correlation. We agree on certain things, we disagree on certain things. And I understand ukuthi unkosikazi noma umuntu wesifazane what she brings, she understands what I bring. And therefore, I don't think there should be a problem for male and female to be all dominant for that matter.
Okay, before we continue with the show, can you please share water for me? Sharing is caring. All right. Before we go further, thank you very much.
Yes.
Going now into the influence now of women. Of animals now. What do we learn from animals in terms of nature? What can we learn from animals?
But with animals, we know if you look. Isisho esithi inkunzi ezimbili ayihlali esibayeni esisodwa. Lokho kuchazela ukuthi inkunzi understand its role in the clan. It simply means there is no fighting, there is no competition. One understand his role or her role. Because I always say that there are a lot of these organizations, whether we speak of SPCA, wildlife, and all that. And what they are doing, they are there to protect the interest of the animals, to protect that there is no cruelty. That it's done. On the animals, but it does not really prevent one to slaughter a cow. It does not prevent one to slaughter a chicken. Why? Because nature itself, it says we need to eat meat. You see, so that itself, I guess, but it's a departure point for even this conversation to say, what does nature entails? What does it want from us? What is the role of the man? In the societal structure. What is the role of the women? That's why you're even making an example of animals now, and I would always look at the lions and say the lioness understands fully her role, and the lion now understands the role of he needs to be a protector, while one goes and scavenge for food and bring food to the family. One will understand I need to protect, I need to do this. So this is an issue of understanding the role. There are certain roles that I need to be performed by me, and there are certain roles that I cannot do. There are certain things that I cannot do that only my partner can do in this instance. And there shouldn't be any competition for that matter.
We should not compete.
Exactly. Yes.
As men, we have muscles.
Yes.
So we should be using our muscles.
Yes. On hard labor.
Yes. Doing all those muscular things.
Yes.
And women must use their powers.
Yes.
On the suitable.
Yes. And again, in fact, you mustn't feel if there are women who are more capacitated and capable of coming up with solutions, societal solutions in any form. We as men shouldn't feel threatened because of this. Is the cause of the day. People feel threatened. You are being led by a woman. I really do not find any problem for whatever reason kungatholakala umuntu wesifazane leading the organization that I work for, as long as she's capable of doing so. So I always say in Europe you'd never find there is a problem. You'd find a wife will go and she's a CEO of a big corporate company, but she will still come back at home and perform her duties, understanding her role here. Here she's a wife. She's the mother of the children. Where else here in South Africa, it's a different game.
All right, you've heard it. You've heard it from us. You heard it from the show. We wish next show we can have a woman to come and deliberate on this issue where women feel entitled now to have this power, and yet some places elsewhere they feel no, men must lead. Now drawing the balance there.
Yeah, it is misguided mfowethu, and I always say ukuthi mina I feel ukuthi there are certain things that can be done in Africa, and those things can never be done in any part of the world, whether you go to Middle East, Kuwait, whether you go to Europe, and we need to understand it. We need to understand the value of the family, because of Africans, we understand ukuthi our structure comes from the value of the family. We once spoke about ukuthi, the family comes first, and the family is what built, the community, and the community is what built the nation.
So it's a step.
It's a step. So once you do injustice to one step, there is a chances ukuthi we will fail as a community, and we will fail as a nation, because of even now we are speaking about GBV, whereby men are doing atrocious things to our women. They are victimizing our women purely because of they are women, purely because of they feel ukuthi the system itself, it's doing injustice, it's not giving them equal opportunities and all that. And I'm saying ukuthi there should be structures that we speak about these things. As men, there should be forums that we understand ukuthi fair enough, guys. Perhaps you even got the position by default. But now we are redressing the issue. We are saying everyone is equal. But even as we are saying everyone is equal, we are saying that as much as you are getting that power, you need to understand that you must not use that power in a misguided way.
All right. Trying to hear from you now in terms of men. How do men feel about this situation now of the tipping of the scale?
Those lazy thinkers,
just speak on behalf of them.
Those lazy thinkers, I feel very bad to I must advocate for those lazy thinkers, because of they are angry, and I'm saying it's okay for them to be angry. But I feel the way they are doing things, or the way they are ventilating, yes, or addressing their situation is wrong. Because of irrespective of whether you are being treated unfair, that does not really give you the power to harm someone, or to harm women, because of we feel women, they have better opportunities than us. Yes, but these guys are angry. They are very angry. They are angry that the laws of the country seem to protect them,
to protect their counterparts.
Yes, to protect women,
and leaving them out in cold.
Yes, leaving them in the cold.
All right, you've heard it from the show. We are trying to redress the problems of our society, and we are doing so by attacking this elephant step by step.
True.
Making sure we address these things. We'd like to have a woman to come and echo their side of the story in this particular topic. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe the show, and so we can keep going. Thank you very much, Tere, for making time to come and dish for us.
Yes, thank you very much. And I just hope there shall be someone who's going to come and school us what is 50-50, and how do we tackle the issue of patriarchy in the work, even into our homes. Thank you very much, sir.
Can't live without the truth, eh?